I've been a long-time listener, and I've learned a lot. And I think the thing that I just want to throw out for discussion is I feel like the left that has, and I think you'll perform a service, stops short when it comes to what we need to do to make transformational change in this country by focusing so much on how horrible the Republicans are that we must beat them at all costs, and not enough on how inadequate the Democrats have become, especially in meeting the moment we've been at for the past 2.5 years. And I'll just throw a couple of
try the last 40 years.
Yeah, no, I know, and because of you, I read Listen Liberal some years ago, and it gave, really opened my eyes.
Yeah,
and
Thomas
I get
Frank's
that.
book, yeah.
And he's amazing. So I try to learn from as many teachers as possible. But here's the thing: I get the Republicans are horrendous, and that's it's not an exaggeration. But what I also get is the Democrats are putting themselves out there as if we are the answer to this, and this is all you're going to get. And if you challenge this, I'm very active on social media, and I get this a lot. I know that's not the entire world, but it happens a lot. If you challenge that, well, you're just helping the Republicans. And I really think at some point, as Lawrence O'Donnell said, we need an organized effort to say, if you don't do these things, we will not vote for you.
Well, that is what has been happening, Anthony, and that's, and frankly, I agree with you that the Democratic Party, starting in 1992 in a big way, embraced neoliberalism. I write about it in my new book, The Hidden History of Neoliberalism. The Democratic Party embraced neoliberalism, and as a consequence, for the last 30 years, exactly 30 years since 1992, we have seen weak tea out of the Democratic Party. And when they do even major things like Obamacare or the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it's done in a neoliberal fashion. It's done in a way that hands almost all of the money, if not all of the money, to big corporations and rich people, even though it produces some social good. I get that. I totally get that. And that is that the Supreme Court changed the rules of the game. I mean, we have to understand the origin of these problems. It's not enough to sit around and go, oh, those Democrats, they just, quack. The bottom line is when Bill Clinton was running for 92, up until that point, the Democratic Party had gotten most of their money from labor unions. A third of America was unionized when Reagan came into office. The Republican Party had completely sold out to big corporations after the Bilotti decision in '78, legalizing corporate bribery of politicians. So fuel money greased the skids for Ronald Reagan into the 1980 election. But Democrats were still relying on labor unions. By 1992, the labor unions were dead. I mean, they were down to 10% of America, from 30% when Reagan came into office, or over 30%. And in 12 years, that's the damage that Reagan did. And so Clinton's looking around going, holy crap, I can't even run for president. Where do we get the money? And so the Democrats decided that they were going to take clean industries money, right? Banking, insurance, pharma, and they'd leave the dirty industries to the Republicans. Well, it was a horrible decision, but I can understand it. It's better than losing an election, I suppose. It wasn't really until the 2008 and really the 2012 election, re-election of Obama, that online fundraising using the internet and using social media had matured to the point where it could replace corporate money. And so now you've got a situation where the largest single caucus in the Democratic Party is, well, the second largest is the Congressional Progressive Caucus, which was just a tiny little pipsqueak, just 50 a fundraiser for them with Raul Grijalva down in New Mexico. And we had, I think they had 18 members at the time. I mean, now it's, like I said, the second largest caucus in Congress. It's a big deal. And
they're not that progressive.
Well, they by and large are the progressive caucus. The problem is you've got a lot of Democrats, the Josh Gottheimers of the world, who are still, have their hands out to corporations, and they're still running on the old neoliberal model. And, they're slowly being flushed out of the party and being replaced by people like, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who replaced Joe Crowley, who was another one of these neoliberal Democrats. And this is the work we've got to do. But saying, we're going to withhold our vote, Anthony, that's exactly what the Russian trolls were dumping into the election in 2016. Democrats, you're not getting what you want, but don't bother to vote. Show them. That'll show them. No, all it does is elect Republicans. So on that point, Anthony, you and I disagree, you're saying. Thank you very much for the call. We'll be right back. It's the top of the hour. Stick around. Professor Richard Wolff next.